Prairie property down in Florida, and he was semi-retired then. He was still working here off and on. That's the one part. Yeah, they're 60 years old and they're retired in Florida.
Well, that was our
Same age as I
used to do all that
I
stuff.
was gonna say, well, no, not same age. Anytime I hear the 60, I'm like, I'm approaching that age.
That is, yeah, well, they're just 60, and so, they, so they're doing very well, and I sold two of their kids' properties, sent a referral out to Colorado, that kind of thing.
I suppose they're starting the class.
Yeah, 12:30. So let's bust my office. I am gonna come out with this class.
Oh, what is this?
I gotta get,
Well,
but I gotta,
and I have Tim on my list for today to follow up with Tim. That's all.
Oh, got it, good. I was gonna ask you about that.
just before we leave, but can we just put a date on the calendar?
Next week?
Right. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll be out and about on the 25th, I have culture committee here to come to.
Well, we could do some, I think we could do some other
Right. Okay,
anything after, I'm usually done with my perspective by 10:30.
okay, so culture committee probably go from 11 to 12 each, so if we did lunch, you wanna do lunch?
You do lunch. What we can do after lunch, whatever you prefer.
Unless you don't wanna do lunch, do you care, what do you wanna do? I mean,
That's fine.
okay, I just, just go to the carrot cake house, that store's
Sounds
really
good.
nice, that sounds good.
No, that's perfect.
So why don't we say 12:15?
Okay. I probably could have done a better job with. 12:15.
I'm looking forward to it.
No, and, I would, I'd rather have 5 than 25 that show up. I have a lot of different ideas, but yeah,
So-
if you,
So one other person that's pursuing this, like, I don't know if you have a problem with it, if you feel okay about this, but Tasha Wells wanted to pursue this too. And what happened is I was just telling her, and I've gotten to know her the same way I'm trying to get to know you.
And we can
And
literally have somebody.
I
that says,
said to
wanna
her, I
increase
just was
my
telling her about what I was
net
doing,
worth
you
by
know, and then she goes, I
20%
have
this
always
year. I
wanted
wanna
to do that, and
buy 2
and I
properties,
had learned
reduce
about the whole
overhead for
certification thing, because I took a continuing education
about it?
class on the elderly through,
Jeff
not
Travis.
Kaplan, somebody else. And then, so I said, well, here's the course, here's what you do, so she's gonna pursue her certification. But do you think 3 people working
enough.
together will be too hard at all? Do you know her very?
I don't know her real well.
I can tell you that she's really compassionate, she's like you and then.
I must stay. We'll see you next week.
How rude.
You'll have some time to think about it too. And put the 14th of February from 1 to 3 if you're available on Tuesday. That's what I did with that whole thing. At the church, and that's it. You wanna tell them they need to be here.
I'll send you a text to get into the details.
Okay.
That's when they sign up. You asked where do they sign up?
Oh,
Well,
right there.
here.
Ah, okay.
And then, please, where we're going, well, and all that.
Okay, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's do this. Well, let's start with this. Who remembers this piece of paper?
I didn't bring it with me, but I remember.
Who did their homework? Everybody had an extra month to do their homework.
I think that's why we forgot, it was too much time in between.
I didn't forget.
Oh, you're good.
You're the assigner though. The assigner never forgets.
Does everybody want a copy of this again? I brought blanks because I knew nobody would.
You can count on that.
Realtors, right?
Realtors.
Can you please be
I think it's-
consistent
I think
and
it's
not be
everybody.
prepared? Done.
Olivia doesn't need one because hers is already done. Maybe she did her homework.
She's a teacher's pet.
Did it. I think you guys were gonna go on vacation and figure it all out, right? Isn't that how we left it?
Yeah, that's not where it happened. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. Where would we like to take this thing?
In general, for
In
the year.
general, because like with some of this stuff, I do need your help. If we're gonna say we're gonna do these things, we have to do them, or else I'm stuck with nothing to talk about. So what can we, what do we want to focus on? Because a lot of this stuff, like I need to put time into it too, because believe it or not, I don't just know stuff.
Well, I think
I
there's.
have to figure it out sometimes.
I have a comment. I guess there's two avenues that I see is you've got the, buying properties, and investing in properties. And then it's, I guess I look at, I kind of have that done. It's just a matter of how many more you want and that kind of thing. And how do you want to, if you want to manage them or you want to hire somebody to manage them, that kind of thing. The other thing that I'm trying to figure out is the business side of things is how do you, what do you want your, do you want to expand it? Do you not, that's where I struggle, I guess, is how do I get more on the business and the investor side of things as I want to try to step back from the business somewhat too.
Okay, so when you say the business side of things, are you talking about your real estate business or other businesses?
Both.
Okay. So in terms of, okay, so.
See, I don't know, is the only way to do a business is build that big team, that everybody has, because I don't know that I necessarily want to do that. I don't like managing people.
That's a whole other conversation.
Right.
Right.
Okay, well, I mean, there are ideas as to how you can transition your business moving into a more hands-off approach, right? There are different ways to do that, I think.
But as most of them here are probably looking at growing versus, I may be one of the few on the other side of the equation.
Yeah.
So,
Well, okay, so like I think the running and growing of our real estate businesses, I don't know that I want to handle that in this forum, because I think there's plenty of other
right. Oh, yeah.
right trainings opportunities for that.
But when you look at the wealth building side of it, I've really worked the last couple of years on becoming very, very profitable part of,
I have the expenses down to just about nothing. I mean, I'm taking home a lot more money than I have in the past. And
So your income is higher,
correct.
but in my mind, the wealth building part comes from what are you
What are
going
you
to
doing
do
with it? Mhm.
your additional income?
Mhm.
So that circles back to my question, ultimately, what do we want to focus on this year? Because last year, it really went into, like, it was pretty heavily focused on real estate investment last year. There were a couple other things that we touched on, but we hammered on that pretty hard. So Jessica first, and then Lisa.
So I talk to PC agents all the time, and a lot of them and a lot of people that are like going through K-Score and want to get into the business want to do investing, right? And so then I say, come to this class, right? And so, and I'll just use myself as an example. So like I leaned over to Kelly and I was like, ooh, I would offer to be like a case study, right? Like if you say, go do this, I say, I want X, how do I do that? And you tell me what to do, and then I go do it, right? And then it's like consistently coming to the class saying, this is what I got done, right? And that kind of should be what everybody's mentality should be, right? Like I'm ready to go do this. And like Olivia always says, like, so we have these goals, like when are we gonna execute and actually make people, but people have the property, right? So like my goal is to have a rental property in the area of the U of M for my daughter, and then eventually, it's hers, right? And she manages it. But then instead of us going to find a place to rent, we have a place, right? And so then it's always the thing that I hear from people is, well, where do I get that money? How do I start out, right? And so then everybody's got to have somewhere to start. And then the hard thing with this class is that when somebody comes in brand new and then they're like, okay, I'm ready to do this. Okay, well now go back and go do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because
You have your 25%.
you missed that part of the class.
Well, kind of going off of that too, like, last year I didn't start coming at the very beginning, so then I kind of missed, the first things that were.
Even if we had like a thing, like this is step one, this is step two, and then it would just like if people come in, it's like, well, you have to get this done. Like if you're serious about this is what you gotta do.
Step one, read the shift.
I have an one idea because of a lot of people, I don't know anything about partnershiping and because I know there's a lot of people that work with others that help with the down payment and then they do the managing, that kind of thing. Do you have a lot of experience with that, or do you have people that have kind of that experience thing where that would help some of these people maybe get into something?
Can't say I have firsthand experience in it, but really that can look,
And I've always,
that can look like whatever someone wants it to, right? If you know somebody that has capital, you sit down with them and say, listen, this is what I'm looking to do. I'm in the business, I will find the deals, I'll do all the footwork, all I need is a partner to help fund. And my proposal is we split everything, whatever your proposed splits are. I mean, that's the extent of that.
I just haven't seen how people structure that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if usually someone's going to be maybe a little bit hesitant the first time, but you start building a track record of being successful. People with money love to multiply their money without having to put a lot of time into it. So, I think, I do think it's as straightforward as that. You just have to reach out and find people that have money that they're looking to invest and sit down and have a conversation. This is what I want to do.
You start lining up at you.
Lisa.
Are you asking like what we want to learn or where we want to go?
I need basics, and I need to start with, how do you read your P and L report? How do you make those, decisions on what you're cutting, what you're not, like, that's what I'm looking for.
So
So I
that's,
can't even get to investment part until I get to that.
yeah, so that's running your real estate business piece of it. Okay. Okay. How do I partner? P and L's the basics of running real estate businesses efficiently. That kind of summarize what your thought was? Okay. Jessica, you had talked about steps A, B, C, D. Okay.
I mean, it just comes down to a system, right?
And is that focused on, your comment, Jessica, focused on real estate investment?
That's the one I hear the most of, like, I wanna have X amount of doors by this time frame.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that. So I'm just trying to think about how to say this without it coming off wrong, so I'm just gonna say it, because everybody knows my intention is not negative. Everybody wants to have a bunch of doors. That's easy to say that. I wanna have X number of doors. What do I need to do? I think people really need to be honest with themselves if they want to have a bunch of doors. Because everybody looks at it and says, well, this is great, I can see how I can grow wealth by doing this. Yep, I agree 110%. And you are gonna have to bust your ass to get there. So do you really want to do this? Is, I think, the very first question. And I'm not saying that in any kind of negative way. I'm saying it as somebody that has done it, and I've got the scars to prove it.
I love managing 3 properties now instead of 6. I mean, there's manage, you know, there's more than just buying it. The buying is the easy part.
It's so fun getting letters from attorneys because your client or your tenant's name is on it. This is what I'm coming after you.
Tom, is it,
You know, so
I think most people say they want a bunch of doors, but is it more about the net cash flow monthly that you
Yeah.
should focus on versus, I want 10 doors by the time I'm 50? Well, okay,
yeah,
what if each door only cash flows you $75 or $100? I mean,
Yeah.
then that's a joke. So,
oh, for sure it is, and it's like, it's not.
Well, I always thought I needed,
Is it not?
I always thought I needed at least 10 properties to replace my income to retire. But with the way rents have gone up, I don't need nowhere near that, to replace my income. So, you know, it's buying them in those right places. So my goal was always just to buy them, get them paid for by the time and once they're paid for, then I can retire if I want. That was my retirement plan. And so, but I have one other idea, but I'll let you finish where you were at.
Because we all know it, and I'll just say it, none of this stuff matters unless we're actually going to do it. Doesn't matter. I can talk until I'm blue in the face, it doesn't matter unless everybody really looks, what is it that I want to accomplish? And what am I willing to do to get
Me and my husband have been investing in real estate for 20 years. And so it's a long game. And it, like you said, like you have to evict families. You have to, it's hard. And it takes time. Like we're just getting to the point after 20 years of like, okay, like, cause the first like 10, it was like, oh, we have one house, well, maybe two, oh, we're gonna sell that, and then wait a few years, and then buy another one. And now we've got like a system, and it works really well because we have people managing it for us and dealing with all the garbage. And so it's like, but it took a long time to like get through, and it's kind of one of those things where you have to like just do it, like you said, if you really want to do it, and get the scars and then learn from them, and then you can create systems that are going to work for you, because otherwise it'll work you.
Yeah.
If you don't learn how to work it, right?
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, one of the big things that we've learned is like creating a great contract that is gonna benefit you as the homeowner and the landlord versus, I mean, not like it's bad for the tenant, but just so you like you don't have to go to court, or you don't have to like deal with all that stuff, because it keeps you up at night, right?
Our addendum gets a paragraph or two longer every single year.
Yeah. So I would say it's
Holy shit, how did she think of doing that?
right.
How in the world, like, do you just lie there at night thinking about how you're gonna screw somebody over? Yeah, actually, yes, there are people that do
Yeah,
that.
we call them professional tenants.
They're professionals, they are professionals.
They know every law
They
out
know
there.
everything.
Yeah.
Um,
That is the one advantage of finding tenants through lenders and real estate agents and things like that. They can't quite afford to buy a house, but they want to be homeowners.
sure.
They do make a better quality tenant. Either rent on time, because they want to buy a house.
No, I almost think, and I've thought about this before, but I almost think we need a session where everybody just figures out what do I want? Yeah, what do I want? And then what's the best way for me to figure out how to get there? Because I clearly believe real estate is a great way to the end game, to at least our end game. That's a portion of it, right? That's a portion of it. I think that's a really good way to get there. We just analyzed a deal this morning that we had 5 hours maybe make a decision on it as to whether we were gonna pull the trigger. We had to have a purchase agreement signed within about 5 hours if we were gonna do this deal. So what does that come down to? It comes down to all the things that we talked about last year. If you want to invest in real estate, what have you done to figure out your financing? Because if you haven't sat down with somebody, you don't don't know what your capacity is, you don't know where your down payment is coming from. Then everything else, you can know it,
You won't, yeah.
but it's useless.
Yep.
Right? And again, not saying any of this in a negative way, but there is a prime example. And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'm gonna see if instead of going all in on this thing, because it wasn't in a location that I wanted it to be, it is a smoking pie for somebody that wants to buy an old property. It's just not where I want it to be geographically.
Location.
Yeah, so I just started thinking, okay, who would do it? So we just started dialing. Okay, do you want this opportunity? There's probably 60 grand on the bone. Do you want it? No, too far. Okay, next. And I called one of my guys and he said, is it on XYZ Street? Yep. He said, yep, I've been there already. So they've been shopping this deal hard. They need to get out and they're just looking for the best they can get. And if this thing were in Lakeville, the ball on the end of my hand would be smoking. It would work so fast. But that's sometimes how it happens. Yes or no? Yes or no? Quick, too late, gone.
And I think on top of that, if you haven't been analyzing properties consistently, you're not gonna know if you're up against a deal or not. So, as we're all setting our goals for the year, and wealth is important to you, you should analyze at least one property a month, or 2 properties a month. Like add it to the 411, so that you're.
So, so like to your point, Lisa, with your business itself, I think, Olivia, I mean, we should have enough classes, market center wise, about running business and P&Ls and all that stuff to cover that piece of it.
Yeah, well, we can make sure that's.
Am I on track? Okay. So I just keep coming back to everybody being honest with themselves and looking at where they're at and where they want to go. And I think writing it down, figuring out what the difference is, and then just, okay, this is what I want to do. How am I going to get there? You know what's really cool about this thought? It's right here. So why don't I do this? I'm gonna hand another copy of this out. I think I have enough. And we'll kind of just reset on this. We'll do the same thing that we originally talked about.
I was just gonna share too, because I know how I bought my first property was because we had equity in our home. And I know there's a lot of people right now that have equity in their homes. I have clients that are now talking about pulling out, their 20-25% down in their closing costs to get into a property. So that's one place that I know a lot of people look, if you can afford a payment on that, whether it be an equity line of credit or it be, and that's how I bought my first one, is pulling that out. And then with every closing check I had, I paid that off as fast as I could. And then when it was below 10,000, I just would keep my feelers open. Is there another opportunity out there? Because I had the line of credit to be able to use that. So that's just one way that I've shared with my clients that have bought in their first rental properties and that kind of thing too.
Yep. Okay, so let's do today's version of this. Let's start one more quick. Let's do today's version. Let's do 5 years from now's version. Let's identify where we would like our income to come from. And I don't even care if it goes from the left to the right side, personally. I don't care what you all want it to look like. If you say, you know what, it's all coming from the S right now, and I think in 5 years' time, it's still going to be all coming from the S, but in 10 years' time, I would like some of it to be coming from the I. That's fine. I don't care one bit. But let's figure out if you're going to increase, for instance, the amount that you're making in the S, right? To your point, Lisa, what do I do to run my business more efficiently so I have more money? What do you realistically want to get to? And what are some ideas as to how you can get there? If you write down you're gonna become a stock and a bond expert, perfect, awesome, do it. People that have done very well by going that route. If you want to do it via real estate, great. But let's just be honest with ourselves as to what are we really want to do action-wise, right? And then let's review that at our next get together. And we'll take those ideas and help guide the rest of what we're going to do this year.
Sounds great to me.
Because I think we can brainstorm all we want, but what I don't want to get is, I don't want to get into a cycle where we just brainstorm a bunch of ideas. I stand up here and talk about it, but then it's so piecemeal to everybody that it doesn't really, it's not cohesive, and we just end up next January brainstorming ideas again. We're not moving toward the goal.
Yeah, and I'd like to have the same kind of resources to be able to do what you're doing with the PC agents, right? If I hear that somebody's interested in investing, then, okay, here you go, here's 2 of these. The next time we meet, I want to see this, right? And then get them in here, right? Because that's the thing is, yeah, like if we're just gonna brainstorm, what action is taking place and what are the outcomes? Nothing, right? It's just ideas.
Because I truly do I want to help everybody get to whatever they want to get to. You know, whether that's a number for income, whether it's net worth, whatever it is, I want to be able to be a resource and help with that. But I think we all individually need to take it upon ourselves to really decide, well, okay, so what does that look like for me? Because I don't think one message is necessarily going to help everybody, because everybody's going to be a little bit different. Am I on the right track?
Yeah, so to recap, one of these is 1 year, one of these is 5 year.
And if you want, make another copy and do one for 10 years.
Are you saying bring it to next month?
Yep.
And then invite a friend?
Yes. It'd be
I
awesome.
can do that quick right now.
It'd be great if we had, I would love this room to be full. Well,
I think
I don't know.
It's like anything else, people forget, they don't put it in their calendar, it's the
Really?
third
Thank you.
Wednesday of every month after
Yeah,
the
this-
team meeting. you
This
know?
really changed my outlook just last time you talked about it,
Mhm.
because the income is such a,
And you know what, seriously, make just a bunch of copies of it, so that you can just start making notes and then stew on it a little bit and say, no, that's not, actually, the more I think about this, that's not really what I want. This is more what I want.
Would you say too, it's like looking at, like, what is the lifestyle you want? And then, okay, so what does that mean number-wise for me to get there?
Yeah.
And then what kind of investments do I need to make then to get that number?
Would it be helpful if I shared where ours is and where I want it, and some of the action items we need to take.
Yes,
Yeah, they're-
I haven't seen how this gets filled out, and neither has Kelly, so we need to know that.
And maybe
So-
even where you were and where you are, because
Well, that's pretty easy.
Zero.
Yeah.
show us like 2 baby steps along the way, maybe, you know?
Well, okay, so I'm happy to do that, but I think really at the end of the day, so the way I set this up, and I mentioned this whenever it was we first talked about it, I didn't put like income numbers in here. I know where that is. I did everything based on percentages, because really, I know where we're at. I know where we want to go. I just need to figure out what percentages need to be shifted around to derive that final thing, right? So, right now, so Olivia and I right now, we are, these are rough, but they're pretty close. Probably 27% in the E, 27% in the S, 27% in the B, and 19 in the I. I think that should come pretty close to that.
Can you explain the difference?
So S is going to be you. It's essentially, well, self-employed, right? So you have to take the action in order for the income to come in. All right? The difference between E and S is that the E, you are straight up trading your time for a set paycheck. Right? So a W-2 type role. And the S, I think the joke I had last time is you're willing to put in double the time for the same paycheck that you would get as an E. So the S is just, you might have a small business, but it is reliant upon you showing up every day to make the income happen. B would be a business where you don't have to necessarily be there Monday through Friday. You're probably still going to have input. You're probably still going to work on it, but you don't have to be there. Like if you take a week vacation, it's still going to happen. It's still going to keep happening for you. You've got people in place to make sure that the business keeps running. Yep. And then the I is
Passive.
yeah, it's more on the passive side. So I would consider I something that you do once and then it continues to pay you. All right. Now there's some fluctuation there, of course, but an investment property to me is an I because you buy it once and then it's going to continue generating, for the most part, passive income. Right? You're going to have to meddle in it. You're going to have to do a little bit of work. Profit share is like, that is I, because you do it once and you got it. You are completely done. That is like prime example of mailbox money. Dividend producing stocks, I think would be I. Right? You've got whatever, pick your numbers. $10,000 worth of the stock that pays you 10% in dividends. You make $1,000 a year off.
So when you say yours E is 27%, what does that mean?
The E,
Yeah, like when you gave us your numbers, you said
Of the gross
27.
income.
27% of the overall.
of our overall income, it comes 27% E, 27% S, 27% B, and 19%.
But how do you get 27% E? Like, what does that mean?
27% of our total income comes from an employee
Employee.
type.
Let's say they make $100,000,
to get W-2.
That means an employee of Keller Williams Preferred Realty, she makes $27,000. As a business owner of HHG, she makes
Got it.
$27,000.
Because you, oh
As
my
a
God.
realtor,
I
as a
forgot that
realtor,
you
he
do that.
makes $27,000.
It's not a volunteer position to work for Keller Williams Corporate Realty, Jessica.
No, but like for me, I would have 0 there. Because I don't have a W-2, but like my husband does, so like would I
Yes.
count that then?
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's where my E comes from too. So that's
Got it.
Unless you've got some news for them that you haven't shared.
No.
Okay, well, then I doubt it.
Side job of a waitress.
So that's where we are at, right? So then what we did is we looked at, okay, what's our total income goal? And how do we desire to drive that income? Right, so that's the future part for us. So what I would like that to look like is, and these are take numbers, 0% in the E, 10% in the S, 70% in the B, and 20% in the I. And that's based on that future number that we would work toward. So
Can you say that one more time?
0, so going counterclockwise, starting at the E, 0, 10, 70, 20. No, sorry, 0, 10, 20, 70, going counterclockwise. So what does that look like for us? For us, and I won't go into all the details, but for us, that means starting a business in 2023, one in 2024, and one in 2025. And I need 3 more businesses to help derive the income to get to where I want. In addition to that, we need 20 more doors in the next 10 years. Now, could that fluctuate if we bought multifamily? Yeah. But this is based on what I know that I would get for returns on single family properties. So that means I need to add on average 2 single family doors a year in order to contribute to that end number.
So maybe I missed it. Are you putting that in the investor box or the business owner box?
The rental properties?
Yeah, the doors.
Those would go in the investor box.
And you only want 20% of your income from that.
I want it to be higher, but that's where I think I can get it to in 10 years.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Now, all this is not taking into account that should I reach, and when I say it's us, should we reach our income goal, I theoretically should have way more disposable income that I can dump into the I box way faster and make that grow way more quickly.
I think your real life example is very powerful though, because as a realistic number in that quadrant, it takes so long to turn any profit on those things because you're paying the mortgage and then the darn association dues go up every year, So realistically, I think you're spot on and that 20% is realistic until they're paid off.
Sure.
And you're actually getting $1,000 or $2,000 a month per door.
Okay, I have a question for you. The next.
Just let me finish the last piece. The last bullet item that we're going to focus on is profit share. And the goal on that is to triple it. So in my mind, if I can achieve these things, the income we receive on the high portion of our quadrant will be enough that I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything anything other than mind my investments. So that's the way I've looked at it. In 10 years' time, I fully expect them to work in one capacity or another until I physically can't anymore, because I think there's value in that to keep us sharp and relatively young. But I want the opportunity to choose to do that path.
The freedom.
Because my dad told me something once, when he was the last couple of years of his career working. And he said, I was talking to him and I said, well, like, what are your plans? When are you gonna retire? He said, well, I could right now, but I think I'm gonna work a couple more years. And I said, Dad, this is busting your ass your whole life. Don't waste years that you can spend doing the other things you want to do. He said, no, he said that, I appreciate that. He said, I want to tell you something, son. He said, I'll say it the way he said it because it's fun to tell. He said, there's a difference between going to work because you have to go to work and going to work because you want to go to work. He said, son, I'm now in a position where I can walk in, and if they piss me off, I will tell them to go to hell. But he's right. Like, I thought about that for a while, and I thought, yeah, that is like a totally different mentality.
Oh, very much so.
So that's what drove a lot of what our stuff is. Because we've got things we want to do. We've got, a lifestyle that we would like to be able to have. And I want to get to a point where my actions within 10 years will allow that to be taken care of. It's going to roll in no matter whether I get out of bed or not, and I still have to get out of bed. But that's my intention. I have come across a lot of things in the last 2 months, health related, with people that I know and care about, that my intentions in 10 years may not be reality. Because just like that. So that's why I feel it's so important to be intentional with our own individual plans and really sit down and think, what do I really want to achieve and why? And for me, it's always just been about freedom. That's it. Because in my mind, that encompasses everything. It's freedom to do what I want when I want. I don't like being told what to do, believe it or not. It's freedom to be able to be there time-wise with a family member if they need it because of health. It's the freedom to be able to stroke a check to help somebody that's struggling in one way or the other. It's just freedom to do that stuff, whatever it is. So that's a very high level outline. Got a lot of freaking work to do. But we only get one shot at it. So I don't know, may as well try to make it happen.
On
There's a lot of
anything,
people that don't, that are in places in the world that don't have a shot at it. A lot, the majority. The majority are not sitting here having this conversation. They're wondering where their next freaking scrap of food is gonna come from. Yeah, I'm thirsty, but I can't drink it because it'll make me sick. Right? Yeah. Yep, we won the lottery just because of where we were born. So I look at it as a responsibility to take advantage of that opportunity. That's just how it works in my life. I'm sorry, you read
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, anything worth having is gonna be a fight and it's gonna be hard up to, right? Like, you're talking about the investments and how it's, yeah, do you really want to go down that road? I think anything, that freedom, is it worth like the fight?
Yeah, and then, you know, depending on what your goals are, you get big enough, and then people start lining up.
Right,
wanting
exactly.
to take
Yep.
Now you've got
Gotta
a whole
fly under the
other layer
radar.
of complexities as to, okay, now that I've achieved it, how do I keep it?
Under the radar.
And can we talk about something really fun in regards to having that much money?
Sure.
Did anyone happen to see that there was a local Minnesota family that made a huge donation to St. Thomas? Did you see this on the news yesterday?
75 million, wasn't it?
$75 million they're intending to build a hockey rink and like a sports complex. So naturally, what do? I Google it. And how can you gain information on this person? The yacht research website, apparently.
Yacht research.
Yeah,
Yachts, yeah, you know, the yacht, and this
Yep.
yachting company had started like a database of interesting people who own interesting yachts, and then it tells you all about them.
Yeah.
But this person like started in a family business, as I read, like a plumbing business, and then just bought businesses and grew and grew and grew, and now he's 90, but he's able to will $75 million,
Yep.
yeah, to an educational institution that
so, you know, we're very fortunate. I think all of us are fortunate because, well, for many reasons. But Jay gets to sit in on Gary Keller's masterminds. And, you know, Gary is very transparent in those situations. Like, he says stuff that he doesn't say on stage. And, you know, he basically told everybody in that group, similar to what this discussion was, you just have to, what's your number? He said, you guys you don't need my number. That was his comment. He said, nobody needs my number. He said, like, you get to a point where your number starts with a B. Now you're trying to figure out, well, what the hell am I gonna do with it?
Right.
Like, you don't have to get to a B to start wondering what you're gonna do with it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, even his
so-
one kid's never gonna be able to.
Well, I you know, so Jay and I have talked so many times, and, you know, we research constantly what are opportunities out there. How does this family wealth, never like the big family wealth, never seem to be squandered? You can set things up where you could have the dumbest offspring on the face of the earth, and they can't screw it up. Like, you can have it set up where it perpetuates and they can't screw it up. But, you know, I don't care to get there. Like, I don't know what the value would be, other than being able to give 75 million, right, to somebody. But I think we can all look at it and say, okay, well, what if I'm able to do enough where the next generation has that leg up on everybody else, and they've got the opportunity to multiply it, and it can be multiplied and multiplied again. Like, how much good can that do in the long run? Way, way, way past my existence.
If they have that mindset, then you're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, all you can do is what you can do, right? So I think that really needs to be where we start. Just really spend some time, like I said, make a whole bunch of copies of this, or use a scrap piece of paper. I mean, it's not complicated.
I have a question. When you get,
Sure.
like, my husband is the employee, and he's gonna retire in a couple years, so then he's got Social Security and pension, so what is that considered, just investment?
Yeah, probably, I suppose.
Because
Yeah.
it just comes mailbox money.
Yeah, as long as it's, for the most part guaranteed, then I think so, yeah. Jessica?
Can you talk a little bit about when we said, like the partner, if you say, like, how do you set up that plan and what are the normal amounts that would be in, somebody would be like, yeah, I'll do that. As far as what their ROI is.
Well, I mean, the plan is going to depend on the scenario, right? If we're looking at, okay, here's what I want to do, my intention is to,
Use my example. My intention is to buy a house in Minneapolis, in the U of M area for my daughter. And the people that I'm talking to know my daughter,
Yep.
right? These are relatives or whatever. So what am I saying to them?
I would say, here's what I'm looking at, here's the price plan I'm looking at, here's where I believe the revenue associated with this asset would be. Here's the cash that's necessary to get the deal done. I am proposing to borrow whatever the case is, X number of dollars in order to get this deal done. I'd be willing to offer, depending on what it is you're looking at, I'd be willing to offer X number of percent return on that capital. And here's how I can assure you that capital is going to be protected, and here's my plan to pay the interest on it.
What is the range for the percent?
I don't know what somebody is willing to do today. You can get 4% in a relatively short-term treasury. And, there's some government stuff out there that's paying, on the last offering of I bonds in November, I think was 9.8% for a year. So what's appealing enough for somebody to say, yeah, I do that? I think part of it depends on how sophisticated they are as investors. Right?
Yeah,
They might look
are they
at it
just
and say,
loaning
well,
you the
I'm getting-
money, or they just?
I don't know, I just negotiated 3% on my savings account in the bank, so I don't know, I suppose if you could give me 6 or 7, that'd be good.
Since I walked in late, are you borrowing money for the down payment or are you encouraging them to buy it?
It would be, it'd be the down payment.
Down payment.
Because then the students would be paying the mortgage.
Right, yeah. Well, I think you've made this point several times in the past, and we've just talked about it recently. You have to sometimes like ask the question rather than plant the answer, and that should be, like we've said, so why are you asking about is now a good time to move? Say, so, what's a good return on investment to you? And if they don't know off the top of your head, then you can say, what are you getting on your savings accounts? What do you feel like you're getting on your, investment accounts?
My dad borrowed money to both my kids to buy a car, and they paid him 2% above what we was getting in the CDs, so they were borrowing it for 4% or something like that. So I mean, there's people out there that'll, if they're just CD investors or something, that they just got the money. If it's a short term, you probably can find a lot of people that'll borrow you money that way.
And when is gonna be different
Yeah.
for everybody, right?
Well, and that's what, Jordan Freed had somebody on, one of his classes, and the guy was an investor, and he said, don't say a number, because somebody might say 5, or they might say 15. And he goes, most of mine are like 11 to 15. But if they come in and they're like, well, 6 is good, he's like, God damn, 6 is great.
Yeah. Why do you wanna play your cards if you don't have?
Right.
You can always borrow through a 401k. You're after the job to take a loan, not be loans.
you're not just taking it out, so you're not gonna get penalized. You can actually loan from your 401k and you pay yourself the interest back.
You can do that on life insurance policies too, a lot of them.
On the whole, like, yeah, if you don't have,
Yeah, there's a lot of sources for
yeah, but 401k, that's.
you pay yourself
I did
back.
my first one, and I paid back just for the down payment, and then I paid myself back. 5%, but not with it back in my 401k.
Right, right.
We have an
Do you make-
investor that like will pay like 100% of the payment, so they're like our bank essentially. And so what we're paying them is the interest, you know, that's their payment. And so that percentage, the properties we're buying though are a lot less because it's in a different market than Minnesota. So that's, you know what I mean? Like here, it's like you can't, it's hard to find a house under 250, you know?
And also like local banks, community banks.
Yeah.
There are a lot of loans.
Well, we had, brought somebody in and,
Yeah.
right, everybody, he did. Yeah. I think he went to, say, Grant, no. I don't know. Gotta find out. I know, I just can't remember.
No, it's okay.
That's the eliminate.
No,
No,
wait,
no,
wait,
no.
wait.
So it was right.
He
It
was,
was, but not now. Okay, one other, I thought there was another question on this. Anyone? All right, makes sense.
I do have a question if you know of people, one of the things that I've had is I've had a lot of people asking about duplexes and fourplexes and things like that. And of course, south of the river here, we don't have that many. Is that something, I mean, is anybody developing lots for those kind of things? I mean, have you seen any lots that are open to duplexes?
I haven't seen
I mean, I consider building one because I love duplexes or twin homes or whatever you want to call them.
any. No, I haven't seen any.
I am going to Realtor Day at the Capitol, so I can encourage them to be.
More open to
Well, yeah, like
multi-housing
proponents of it, yeah.
rental,
I'll put a word in.
I know I've been looking for duplex lots, so twin home lots.
All right, anything else? Any other questions? Did my little scenario here help to
Oh,
give
very
ideas?
much. Gives so
I
much
just wanna-
context.
Just want to check, it was so if I'm going like
For
ESB,
our
I.
future one?
no, your current one is 27E, 27S, 27B,
Yep.
19I. And then future is E0, S10, B70, I20.
Yes. I think that potentially could be shifted more into the I because we achieve that income goal.
Yeah.
There will be more to invest.
And that was 5 years or 10 years?
That's 10.
And when Melissa said, why is it only 20? And you said that's what you think it can increase in the 10 years, the 19 to 20?
So.
Or you think it could be more than that?
If your businesses are making a lot more money.
Yeah,
that's-
I think it can go to a higher percentage, but we have to remember that let's call them today's 20% and the future 20%.
Yep.
Well, that's 20% of a way different number.
Got it.
So
Income.
that's where the difference is, because that has to keep up with the growth of that, in that income goal in order for that percentage to stay level. Sure. Right?
And I asked it out of the context of, are you classifying that rental income as business income because you're a business owner of a rental
Right.
property management or,
Right.
In 10 years, I'm gonna be all
Thank you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody
Next
knows their homework for next time?
Yeah, I do, yep.
Go make a bunch of
Everybody
copies.
already got it done.
Homework for next and Selena, do you know your homework?
No, I didn't hear what it was.
Volume might be turned down.
What is it?
Possible.
If you're speaking, Selena, we can't hear you.
You can put it in the chat.
Good luck with your,
Yeah. Great. Okay, Selena, the homework is, just go like this, where's the camera? Okay, the homework is this sheet,
You're
which we
welcome.
could put on, Facebook. It is the cash flow quadrants. So it's employee, self-employed business owner, and investor. And putting in what you want as a goal for 1 year and what you want as a goal for 5 year. So text if you have questions on that. I will read it.
Colin, I don't think I've formally met you yet.
Hi,
Hi. I'm Laura.
Laura.
Laura, yep.
Nice to meet
Nice
you,
to
Laura.
meet you.
Yeah, thanks for participating.
Yeah, thank you. If you, I don't know if you'd ever have a need for someone to come in and talk about real estate investment. My husband is super,
Sure.
knows a ton, and he's created, like, he's a systems guy, so he's created systems and the whole thing.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think he'd be really
Sure.
I don't know knowledgeable. So
Yeah,
I'm
well, it might be good.
Well, I think just to like
Yeah, after a while.
piggyback off of you, you know, be,
I appreciate the offer. We'll, kind of see where we end up going this year. Go from there.
that sounds good.
Carrie, do you have any questions? I am trying to type and it's not working, so. And we can't hear you, so you have to type it. Well, maybe because it's, I think it's not even turned on. It should be. Because we had it during this whole meeting. Type it in. I just joined 2 minutes ago, got the homework, adding to your list. Okay, got it. All right, guys, adios.